welcome to Texas REIAs. I'm Shenoah Grove, the founder of Texas REIAs, Texas's largest real estate investor associations around Texas. We have meetings in Austin, Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio. So we get together in each of those cities at least once a month and talk about real estate investing, talk about the different things that we've learned as real estate investors. And this is your opportunity to be able to learn from some folks who have been investing for the last 20 years and been able to survive and thrive no matter what the market has given us. So excited to be here with you all tonight and excited to share some of the knowledge that we built up over almost 2 decades of investing in real estate. So in December of 2023, we'll be celebrating our 20th year. So I've been able to survive and thrive in both the best markets that we've seen in Texas as well as the worst markets that we've seen in Texas and even around the world. And love to be able to get together, share how you can invest no matter what the market throws at you, because the market is always in some stage of the market cycle. So for me, when I quit my job almost 2 decades ago, I decided I did not want to have to update my resume. Anybody would like to not have to update the resume? Okay, a couple of you guys. So I want to make sure you guys are learning from us and learning some of the different things that you can do as a real estate investor to make sure that that is the case for you as well. So what that looks like is we'll teach you some of the different strategies that we've used tonight to be able to survive and thrive in different parts of the market cycle. The market cycle is typically 3 to 5 years up, 1 to 3 years down, 3 to 5 years up, 1 to 3 years down. How long have we been in the up part of the market cycle that we're in right now? 10 years. 10 years. This has totally broken the model, if you will, for the 3 to 5 years up, 1 to 3 years down. So for the last 5 years, I've been thinking, okay, any minute now, okay, any minute now, I'm ready, okay, I'm ready for this one, I'm ready for this one. But the truth is, even though that's a typical market cycle, that's not the market cycle that we're living through right now. So we'll share with you the things that work when both the market is up like it is now. We'll share with you the things that work when the market is in a little bit of a distress situation, when there's no inventory, when there's a supply chain shortage, and that way you'll be able to figure out what to do if you're starting to invest in this part of the market, you'll know what to do in order to survive this part of the market. And if you are planning on continuing to invest, and like me, not having to update your resume, we'll also share with you some of the different ways that you can be successful when the market goes back down, right? So it's always just kind of a matter of time. And for me, when I decided to leave my job and I decided that I didn't want to go to work for anyone else, I also just I didn't even have a need or a desire to update my resume. So at this point, since it's been almost 2 decades, my resume at this point is in some version of DOS that even the techiest of the techie people in this room could not resurrect that thing, nor would I want you to. And for those of you guys who are looking at me saying, what is this, the DOS thing that she's talking about? Just ask someone who's to your right or to your left with either gray hair or no hair, and they'll explain that to you over the course of our time together. So again, it's important to me as we share different knowledge and information with you guys, that we don't just share with you how to invest in today's market, but also share with you how to invest in any market, because I'm sure that some of you guys would also like to see or envision your resume also in some version of DOS and a resume that you don't want to have to go back and update. Now, I will tell you guys, because some of you guys did raise your hand to say that yes, you want to quit your job. Well, there's one thing that I want all of you guys to do before you quit your job. What do you think that is? What do you think that is? Say it again. Investigate? Nest egg. Okay, give me an idea what that might mean to you. Okay, that's good. One of the other things I want you to do is I want you to get as many loans as you possibly can before you quit your job. Because once you quit your job, how easy do you think it's going to be to get loans? It's going to be the opposite of easy. In fact, it's going to be exactly impossible, right? So what that looks like is most of us can only get somewhere between 4 and 10 loans as a maximum. So I would want you to get all of the loans that you possibly can. to make sure that you max that out while you are having a full-time W-2 job, because most lenders will not want to loan to you until you've been working in your new job as a real estate investor for at least 2 years. And what 2 years really looks like is maybe more like 2 1/4, 2 1/2, 2 3/4, depending on when you start and when you file your tax returns. So that's going to be one of the big things that I'm going to say is probably going to, I'm going to want to make sure you use in order to stay in your job for as long as you can, to be able to take advantage of that last benefit. So everybody get their last loan, and then we can send in our resignation letter, okay? So that's one of the things I want you guys to be aware of too. There's benefits to having a job. One of those benefits is the fact that we can get those loans. And but here's what I promise you: for those of you who are saying, well, I don't want to wait, to get those loans, I want to quit now, and now is also good, right? So, oh, there, it's working again. So I want to make sure you guys also have other strategies to be able to fund your transactions, other strategies to be able to fund your deals. So as we go through the presentation tonight, we're going to share with you how to create loans, not using any of your personal credit, not really even using your name. So it's a process that we call buying subject to the existing mortgage. Has anybody ever used that strategy? Josh, you're shaking your head. You're familiar with it. You're familiar with it. Anybody use that strategy? So knowledge and implementation of knowledge will set you free and build your income, and also build your wealth and make you rich. So as we go through the presentation tonight, we'll be sure to talk about how we've used that strategy to obtain over $20 million worth of real estate over the past almost 2 decades, right? So I feel like I am an overnight, a 20-year overnight success. So, but the truth is, just like with anything else, you have to do it for long enough in order to make that magic happen.
Would you like to be a real estate investor in Texas? Come to one of our free local meetings to get access to free training, wholesale properties, capital, and power teams. Click on the link below to find a meeting near you and register for free.
So for those of you all who are joining us online, we do have some links at the bottom of the different social platforms that we're on. So if you're joining us on Facebook, YouTube, you guys, and for those of you guys who are in here, I think we've asked many of you to go ahead and join us on our Facebook platform, watch our YouTube channels. Every week we give different knowledge about real estate investing so that you guys can survive and thrive no matter what the market throws at you, so you guys can quit jobs that you may not want to go to anymore, especially as the market is changing. So excited to have you guys join us on some of those different platforms. So for me, I'm not a YouTube person, I'm a podcast person. I kind of find that people are either podcast people or YouTube people. And so for me, I like to podcast when I'm working out, when I'm walking, when I'm cooking, but other people I know like to use the YouTube to be able to get knowledge and find out information about that. And what I'll tell you is different about what we do here at Texas REIAs, as well as what we do, of course, on our social platforms for the meetings that we have out there, is the only thing we talk about is investing in Texas. So if you guys are not interested in investing in Texas, I'm sorry, you're at the wrong place. I did mention that tonight we're going to feel like we were in a Southwest Airlines flight. So if investing in Texas is not your final destination, you may exit now. Don't forget the nearest exit may be behind you. So for us, we are very specific about that. We go very deep in Texas in terms of our knowledge, in terms of our training, and that's where we've done all of our investing. So want to make sure that you guys are all in the right place. And what I find is a lot of people who are at university. Who is at university right now? Who's studying right now? Okay. Who's at YouTube University right now? Yeah, okay, yeah, YouTube University, okay. So here's what I'll warn you about YouTube University, even though I have a YouTube channel, so, and I'll kind of explain this as we go through. Some of the folks that you might admire and look up to on YouTube, they might be investing in completely different states. Every state has different contracts, every state has different laws, every state has different customs, and I don't want you guys learning from someone who is in Utah. And there's nothing wrong with Utah if you want to go there and visit, or if you want to invest there. But if you are investing in Texas, I highly recommend that you are listening to other people who also invest in Texas. That way you don't get led down an incorrect path and maybe try to do things that either don't work here or might be illegal here. So that's kind of my my warning. So for us, when we talk about investing, you know, we always say we go very deep in Texas. All of our investments are in Texas, and they have been for the last almost 2 decades. So for us, we can answer any question about investing in Texas, residential, commercial, all the different strategies, all the different laws. So I'm also a licensed realtor and broker in the great state of Texas. So every 2 years I get quizzed on those contracts and laws to make sure that I'm doing everything correctly. And luckily the Texas legislature only gets together every 2 years to screw things up and make new laws. So what that means is every 2 years as I'm getting my updates, keep you guys on point. So also want to make sure as we go through the presentation tonight, does everyone in here know where to find the contract that we use here in Texas? Does anyone not know where to find that contract that we use here? Okay, yeah, so if you don't have a notepad, no worries. Pop out your phone and just type in your notes section or wherever you take your notes, TREC, T-R-E-C, T-R-E-C. It stands for the Texas Real Estate Commission. This is where you guys will go to grab your contracts. They've got probably about 40 different contracts, addendas, disclosures, terminations, etc. on there. So those are free for anyone to use, whether you are licensed or not. Now they do recommend that those contracts be done, written by a licensed realtor, and the reason why that is because there are about 85 different blanks where you know, but it's kind of like Mad Libs. I don't know if you guys played that when you were a kid, but it's like, they give you some context clues, like there's a $ in here. Okay, yeah, put in the amount you're buying it for, right? Or there's a, you know, it's a date field. Okay, well, better put in the date here. So, but some of this stuff may not be very straightforward. So probably nice to get a realtor to work you through that the first time around as you're using that, because you're going to be on your own schedule as a real estate investor. You're going to be talking to sellers day and night. You're going to be talking to and weekends, so your realtor may not be able to help you with that. So be sure to learn how to fill that out correctly. Now, I will give you probably my best tip for filling out a TREC contract and getting that practice, getting your reps in, getting the confidence in, and that is to fill out a TREC contract on your own house. So if you are, you know, pretend like you are the investor and you fill it out for as if you were buying your own property, and that way anything that you're missing, right, you'll be able to kind of help fill in the gaps, and you'll be tested before you go out in the field and try and explain the contract to a seller after you've never read the contract, right? So there's an old saying in sales, I don't know how old it is, but probably at least 50 plus years old, and it is that a confused buyer does not buy. A confused buyer does not buy. So that means the salesman is not explaining it properly. Well, I will tell you the same is true for real estate, and it is that in this case for real estate, it is that a confused seller does not sell. And if they're confused, and if they can pick up that you are confused, and maybe this is the first time that you filled out a contract, how confident are they going to be that you're going to be able to push this thing all the way to the finish line, right? They may not be, right? So please, as you are getting ready for your investing, don't just pull out that contract and try and just fill it out for the first time. I'll tell you, the first time I filled one out, I had reviewed it and I knew it, but I had this burning desire to read every line, I don't know why, to the seller, and the seller was like, can we get this thing over with? And I'm like, wonderful, then just sign an initial right here. I already had everything pre-filled out, but I was nervous about it, right? So get over that first set of nerves. So if you are investing with a partner or you're investing with a spouse, have one of you guys play investor, the other one of you guys play home seller. Really, it's one of the fastest ways to be able to get that going, to make sure that when you get out in the field, you're not confusing your seller, and that seller ends up not working with you. So, and guys, as we go through the presentation, I'm curious, are any of you actively working on a deal right now? Any of you guys actively working on a deal right now? A couple of you, awesome. Are any of you stuck with the seller, having any issues on that deal, or need any advice on that deal? Everybody's got it completely covered. No one could use any advice. Everyone's going to march all the way to the finish line. Not so true. Lindsay? Everyone say hello to Lindsay with a warm round of applause. Yeah. So Lindsay just said, oh my God, don't pick me. This is like going to church Don't pick me. Don't pick me. Don't pick me. Lindsay, would you like a little help on that? Is there anything I can help kind of to push it across the finish line? You don't think so? You're waiting on the sellers to answer. Lindsay, we can walk over to that microphone, and I want to. Yes, it'll be fun. It'll be good. I promise I'm going to give you something rewarding that will help you get to the finish line. Give Lindsay a round of applause for having the courage to come up here, even though she absolutely doesn't want to at all. You can see the excitement in her face. And then Lindsay, you were brought here by Lauren. Is that right? Lauren? Is that you're Lauren? Laura, I'm sorry, I apologize. I could only read half of it. You brought her here, right? Yeah, so she's really super thankful right now. So are you guys working on this deal together? No, okay, she's like, don't get me up there. So Lindsay, you said you're waiting on the seller. So tell me how long have you been waiting on the seller?
Just a day.
Just a day, okay. So tell me about the numbers on your deal.
Well, I don't have anything with me, but it's a condo, quick flip. It's listed at 109.
Mm-hmm. What city is it in?
It's actually not in Texas.
Okay, I was going to say, because 109, I was going to ask you, is that American? Because I know it's certainly not Texan, American. And I know it's certainly not Dallas, Texan.
Here's a challenge. Can you guess where it might be?
So, oh gosh.
Hey, you're putting me on the spot.
Okay, so I mean, I would guess like Alabama, Arkansas, something like that. Florida. Okay. Some other people might have some swampland they'd love to sell you in Florida. So, all right. And you know what's so cool right now? It's about to be like hurricane season. Mm-hmm. So I'm super sure that you've gotten your quotes already for that hurricane, all that fun insurance, right? So, I was talking to a friend of mine today, thinking about one of the last times that I went to Miami, and when we got there, it was like, oh, we've just identified, as soon as we're like touching down, like we've just identified possibly a Cat 4, hurricane that's coming in. It's going to be here in 4 days, and we're like, do we stay? Do we get out? Right. So that's a little bit of a challenge. Are you from Florida? How did you find? So how did you find this opportunity?
Just looked and found it.
So like, are you working with a realtor? Are you working with other investors?
I'm working with.
Okay.
Myself and a business partner.
Okay.
And an investor who's in on it.
Okay. Have you gone to see it, or are you just?
Have not.
Okay.
The real estate agent and contractors have gone and looked at it. It's been sitting empty for 81 days.
Okay.
So it's a great opportunity. It was purchased a year ago for almost $40,000 less than what they have it listed at.
Okay.
So
does that make you suspicious?
I mean, no, not with this market. This house prices are jumping right now.
So you're saying it was listed?
It was listed.
It was listed at 140, and you have it at 100?
No. It was listed like $40,000 less a year ago. So
it was listed at 60. Okay, so it was listed. They bought it at 60. Now they're selling it at 100.
So they're trying to make good money on it, but they haven't put any money into the property.
Okay.
It hasn't been touched in 30 years.
Okay, is it vacant or?
It's vacant.
Okay, so is anybody here from Florida? Anybody here from Florida? No one. Okay.
Well, I've got property in Florida.
You've got property in Florida.
I watch out for asbestos because the last condo deal was full of asbestos.
I'd watch out for asbestos because last condo deal was full of asbestos. So what I've experienced, so I'm not from Florida. I go there all the time because it's like one of my favorite places to go to vacation. But if you don't have that air conditioner running, what happens in the house? Lots of mold. So it kind of makes me nervous that that could be an issue there. And I've seen some of the houses where it's kind of just abandoned for a small amount of time. If that air conditioner is not running, there's mold like that. And that's something that pictures. They say pictures tell. What do they say? Pictures tell a 1,000 words, right? Here's one word that they don't tell. That would be smell, right? SMELL. So and you can't bottle that up. You can't. Hey, realtor, can you go and get a whiff of that and send that over to me in Texas? So that would be something that I would certainly want to consider and want to look at. So for me, after investing for the last 20 years, it's very rare that I get an inspection. But if I'm going in sight unseen, I'm getting an inspection. So tell me what that looks like for you.
Yeah, so if contract gets accepted, then obviously I'd want to do an inspection within the next 5 days to figure out anything. There was no smell, there was no issues, there was no mold, nothing.
Okay.
When the agent and the contractor went in and looked at it. It's a contractor that I know and trust, have worked with before.
Okay.
They actually do more high-end, so this is kind of out of their normal scope.
Yeah, yeah.
So he has a lot of experience, 25 years in contracting. So
Okay.
he checked pipes, he checked electrical. He checked
Okay, I like that. Okay, that makes me very happy because I see a lot of people who will go in kind of blind to these deals and find a couple of people that are boots on the ground and say, I'm going to, trust you with all this. So you've seen the comps. What is the, so you're buying it for, you've made an offer for 100. What's the ARV?
I did not make an offer for 100.
Oh, what did you make an offer for?
84.
84. Okay, and what is what's called the after repair value on it?
Yeah, so comps ARVs falling 159 to 179 to 199.
Okay.
So kind of our goal is to at least get 159. We would more than break even.
Okay.
With a 25-day flip. It's a really cosmetic flip. The most extensive would be kitchen, and that's where we put most of our money.
Okay, so what's the rehab estimate?
24, including any sort of
so even
70%
of that 179 is 125.3. So if it's under 125.3, even if you get it at the asking price, it seems like you're getting a good price based on everything that you've told me.
Yeah.
Now she said something interesting. Did you guys pick up on it? She said a 25-day flip. What do you guys think about that? That sounds optimistic to me. That sounds super duper optimistic to me. This is not your first one, or is your first one?
It's not my first.
It's not your first one. It's funny, like with the supply chain shortages, like I'm seeing pictures of houses online right now that are brand new houses that they still don't have a dishwasher, they still don't have, a cooktop, and or they still don't have a stove.
That can close.
Say it again?
That doesn't close.
Well, and it doesn't happen in 25 days too. And then the biggest kick that I always get is when a contractor tells me like, oh well, this one, we're gonna get done in 25 days, and then you get to day 25 and it's like, well, there was rain, so, and I'm like, rain? What is this? What is this new phenomena that no contractors seem to know about? Rain? So sometimes when rain, that'll stop them, especially if there's any foundation work. So have to wait for the drying.
It's a condo, so it's kind of apartment style complex.
Okay.
It's a corner unit, so there's no exterior work to
Okay,
be done.
beautiful. Yeah.
No roof, no windows,
Okay.
no nothing. That's all handled by the HOA.
So my typical rule of thumb when you're doing a renovation is for every $5,000 you spend, you need to budget at least 1 week. So if it's $25,000 remodel, typically I would say that's about 5 weeks. So that's just kind of a rule of thumb. Now, at the beginning, you're going to be spending a lot more than $5,000 a week. I'm just saying when you're trying to set your budget of time, because sometimes there are these crazy phenomena that people don't think about, like rain or hurricanes, right, that come in. So barring all of, natural, world happening, that sounds good. But so who do you think at $179,000, who do you think your buyer is going to be? What do you think your buyer is going to look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's probably going to be more of a senior citizen level.
Okay.
So somebody 55 plus. It's
Okay.
a lower cost point. It's kind of the area that this condo's in. Really welcomes a lot of elderly people.
Okay. So typically at that price point, I see a lot of FHA, VA, USDA type loans.
Yeah. This would not qualify for USDA because it's within city limits.
And what about the FHA?
So they will accept FHA in this condo association.
What's the issue with FHA and VA?
So the issue with that is you have to have down payment, and on a condo in Florida right now, they're requesting about 20% down payment.
So the other issue I see is that there's a 91-day seasoning before you can go under contract with an FHA borrower. So say it again?
It's 180.
180.
In Florida?
So what I've seen is it's 91 days before you could get it under contract. Yeah.
But not FHA.
So
106 months. I'm a 32-year veteran.
great. Thank you. No, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. So that would be my worry. So 25 days, getting it back on the market, it's got to be a cash buyer.
Yeah. So looking at comps and recently sold, most of the recently sold properties have been cash closed.
Beautiful. Okay,
And
that makes me feel much
I think
better.
there was 1 out of 40 recently sold comps that was a conventional loan.
And you can tell
Super
them
helpful.
it's, I can't, you can, like, at least in the Texas MLSs, you can say, like, that we'll only accept cash.
Yeah.
Now, are realtors actually reading that?
No.
Not usually, but you can actually put it in the description as well so that they can see it. That way you don't get in a position where you're trying to, find a buyer and you get punched with a seasoning issue and then end up holding it for much longer than what you originally thought, or taking it off the market and then not knowing. So that's the one thing I would, it's like I see a lot of people will talk about these fast flips on something that's a higher end property, 91 days, right? So on something that's a lower property, it's, especially if it's an FHA, VA type buyer, then that's sometimes when you run into a little bit of pushback, right?
Yep.
And what I've also seen is a lot of, we've got a 32-year seasoned mortgage officer in here. You've probably met or been assigned files from people who were less competent than you, because not everyone is very competent when it comes to, this market. So what that looks like is sometimes the lender won't even realize that until maybe after they get, a title report or an appraisal, and they're like, and literally they're like, well, wait a second. And they expect the seller to know, and the seller's like, well, it's kind of looks like this.
Yeah.
The international symbol of, not my fault, wasn't me. Go look to the other person. So that would be the only thing that I would kind of think about.
Yeah,
And I know we have someone from Florida. I've never talked so much about Florida in my life in the Texas REIAs meeting, but no, I appreciate that. Were you going to comment on something else to watch out for?
Yeah, I also have a condo in Florida, and, the HOA, I think, is required to have the state inspection, the structural integrity inspection, because of that collapse that happened in Miami, right? So I don't know if you've seen that from the HOA, but I'm certain.
So most HOAs should have that on file already. Getting it from an HOA is a different story.
Yeah,
That's always
yeah.
a challenge.
Yeah,
Thank
for
you.
sure.
I appreciate that. Absolutely.
And then are you coming with cash or are you coming with hard money?
Cash.
Okay. So not that I think this is you by any means, but it may be someone else in this room that they may need to hear this. And that is, a fool and his money are soon parted. So would anybody like some free advice, free coaching in here about your next deal? Yeah, take your deal to a hard money lender, even if you have cash. Because what's that hard money lender going to say? They're going to give you some of the best free coaching, free advice you've ever received in your entire life on whether or not that deal is a quote-unquote deal. Now, I will encourage you to all be aware of what I call the hard money decoder ring. So the hard money decoder ring looks like this. Is not all hard money lenders will say, no, this is not a deal, I'm not going to fund you on this. Some hard money lenders will say it a different way, and that way is going to look like this. Lindsay, I'm super stoked about funding your deal. I'm excited about closing. Yeah, there's just this one little thing. I'm going to have to ask you to bring $25,000 to the closing table. What have they just told you? What have they just told you? It's not a deal. And I don't want to take any risk on it. I'm going to risk shift it to you by asking you to put more money down. I don't know if your deal is a deal or not, but I would highly recommend just talking to a hard money lender that lends in the town that you, or in the area that you are investing, and just have them get eyes on it. Because, what's worse than bad advice? Bad advice from a trusted source. So it looks like you've got two other people who are on the ground who are helping you and advising you. Now, my guess is with the realtor, they're stoked because they're going to list it when you go to resell it, and they're probably getting a commission, that they may or may not be rebating to you so that they can get that listing on the back end. So sometimes, I've seen realtors get investors into not great deals because the realtor is going to get paid whether you make money or not, which is heartbreaking. And I've seen contractors get people into not great deals because the contractor is going to get paid, again, whether you make money or not. So having someone who can really just be an advocate for you and is really like third-party objective, doesn't have a dog in the hunt, right? So doesn't doesn't get paid only if you do this deal. So that would be one of my pieces of advice and suggestion. And sometimes I'll even do that too, because I want that, I want that extra set of eyes, and what's interesting is, especially here in Texas, there's a lot of hard money lenders in Texas, and some of them actually lend in other states like Florida as well. But with here in Texas, like for some of the wholesalers that are shopping deals, as an example, like you'll bring your deal to a wholesaler, and that wholesaler will say, I looked at this deal for 5 other investors before you came back. No, I said no to all of them. I'm saying no to you. Or again, hard money ring decoder, not a good deal because, or put more money in, right? Yeah. So that would be the only thing that I would encourage you to look at, but I'm stoked for you. So a round of applause for Lindsay for being open to come up here and share. Thank you. And while I'm not convinced that Lindsay learned anything from that, just because she seemed to have everything lined up, I hope that some of you guys learned just some of those little tips that are kind of very nuanced when it comes to being a real estate investor. So as part of the REIA, one of the cool things that we get to do is share some of those tips every week. So excited to be able to do that. You can see some of the other ones just kind of like coaching within the room just by watching our YouTube channel, our podcast, etc. So for those of you guys who are watching online, we're going to end this segment.